If you're a med student and you don't know who Ali Abdaal is, I think you're missing out. And if you do know who Ali Abdaal is, make sure you know these reasons why I think it's so important that everyone knows his story and a bit of his background. So the short form on Ali Abdaal is he was a medical student at the University of Cambridge in the UK. And after having graduated and worked in the medical system for a bit, left medicine to do a career in education and work on productivity, and has many businesses now that he runs, including his own YouTube channel, which has taken off. And it was one of the reasons why he transitioned away from medicine into his own entrepreneurial life. But I think for many people who started off watching Ali Abdaal early in their med school journey, like myself, the first reason Ali Abdaal was so influential was his work on study tips and systems. And the ideas of active recall and spaced repetition, I think I found out through him. And so if you haven't checked out some of his videos on learning how to study, I think they're really a really good resource because he sticks to the evidence-based stuff and he uses really cool examples as well. Now he's moved into the productivity domain, and I think he's got some interesting things to say. He has his own book as well, which I've read. And I think in terms of productivity, it's sort of a double-edged sword because lots of people say they would like to be more productive, but also there are people who are more of that type A, work really hard, who can almost go for this hyper productivity movement where everything needs to be maximally productive and it takes some of the enjoyment away and it actually can restrict you a little bit as well. So productivity is one of those weird ones where you sort of want to be 80 or 90% of the way there most of the time and over a long period of time as well. And so I think that's a really interesting discussion, but there's good strategies that he suggests, and he transitions from his study background with evidence-based and good examples into a easy to learn, easy to remember productivity framework. Second, I think most people can look up to Ali with his values and having a similar personality to perhaps what they have. I remember watching or listening to a couple of podcasts with him on, and you can get a sense of his genuine nature. And he's not super well polished or well spoken like some of the other CEO guests, especially early on in his interviews. But I think that also brings out his authentic side too. And his videos on how to choose a career and why he made his various decisions, I think are very interesting for people who are considering leaving medicine and and for people who are thinking what they want to go into in terms of a specialty or a job. What he lays out as his framework and his thinking system, I think, is really clear and can help a lot of other people with their brainstorming and journaling. Finally, I think lots of people do toy at some stage with the decision to leave medicine, particularly those who are entrepreneurially minded or business minded. And I think learning about the stories of many other people, often the influencers do leave, but there are, some people who do some part-time work in medicine, like Dr. Mike as well. And so that story of someone who was initially so engrossed in medicine, so talented, well learned, had all these really developed study systems, and he has all this basic background knowledge, and he's left it all behind to pursue something else. And I think that's a really interesting story, even for the people who really love medicine with all their heart. The reasons why he left and what he found the work culture was like, and what things ended up becoming after a while was very important to learn about. And I'd recommend everyone check out his story. But it's one of those things that happen where at the start, when you're driven by curiosity, things can become so interesting and you can develop your passion. And as you start stretching into, working life, it can strain a little bit as well. So expect that as a challenge to come into. But throughout all of these domains, I'd highly encourage people who haven't checked out Ali Abdaal before to engage with some of his content on YouTube and just try and feel out some of his videos and see what works for you. He's also got a podcast with lots of guests, but my favorite video is always the one with him as the forefront, and they're cool videos as well and engaging. So hopefully it's a space for inspiration, for motivation, for learning, and maybe you can get some practical tips out about studying productivity. But also for lots of people who go through med school without a mentor, I think that's what he served as for me and for many others. And I think it's good to know about his story as well. Hopefully this was a an interesting video, different kind of video. But if you enjoyed this, make sure you check out my other videos related to medicine and studying, and I will see you all next time.